Hello everybody, my name is Bobbie Richardson and this is my Ascension messages for you. I'm a channeler, a psychic, a seer. I have been privileged to be able to have a strong connection to my soul and an intuitive connection to the divine ever since I was born. Had many messages given to me, seen many beings actually come in front of me. Many experiences of synchronicities that's taken me down paths that most people wouldn't even dream of. And I have now got the ability to be able to channel through a lot of those that were trying to give me messages or prompt me or give me signs. So now I thought I would dive into one of my stories. When I first left my last partner, I decided to just go full steam ahead into going live, and I thought I will start off, or I was told to start off with my life story and just record it. So I did do that, and then I hid it because, you know, it's my first recordings of me going live, and even though I sort of, everything looked a little darker around me because I was in that energy, but I did get my whole life out. I was going to do 2 couple-of-hour videos on it, ended up being 6 videos over an hour long, and that's because there was just so much to share of the unusual experiences that's happened with me. So these stories are full of synchronicities, spirit working with me, through me, and because I was willing to listen and step outside the proverbial program and have a crack at what they were trying to explain to me, and I had such a strong connection to my higher self, benevolent beings, and source energy, something beyond what I was taught just by logic, by school, by education, by my parents, something beyond that. So it's taken me down a lot of rabbit holes, and I just thought it'd be a good time to share with you one of those stories. Okay, so it was 2011, and I had a really strong pull, even though I was moving home, to actually go to somewhere else. I didn't know where. I was almost grasping at places to go to because I just felt this real strong pull. I had to go either on a holiday or visit someone or something. I thought maybe it was the Cherokee elder that I was meant to visit, so I sent her a message, and that come back she was busy, and I'm like, okay, this is not her. And then I had somebody over in Bali who had a beautiful like, what is it, organic farm over there, and had resorts and stuff, and I thought maybe I'll go visit him, and that was sort of becoming a bit hard. Something was happening there where it wasn't falling into place either. I'm like, well, I have this real strong pull. There was a comet that was coming through. I think it was Comet Eileen. I'm not sure, but there was some sort of foreign body coming into meeting with Gaia and going around Gaia or something, and that was of interest too. There was something happening with that, and a feeling of there being a craft or something visiting Earth, and there was a reason why this was all happening. I ended up going to sleep. I'd already booked tickets to go see David Icke, and so my tickets had come through, and I was really excited. He was doing a tour all around Australia in 2011, and he was coming to Gold Coast. So I decided I was going to stay there in a hotel and see him. And he does like 7-hour talks, like massive long talks. Yeah, and anyways, I had this pull. Everything wasn't working, where I was thinking, oh well, if I'm meant to be somewhere, you know, I'll be guided, because I know my connection to spirit. It'll just happen. So I went to sleep, and I had this really amazing dream of being on a bus, and I was going to Uluru. I hadn't even come across, didn't even enter my thought to go to Uluru, but this is where I was in this dream. And so I remember there was a vulnerable part of the dream where I felt vulnerable. There was a taking of photographs and stuff, and it was really important. There was something really important about this dream. And I woke up and I went to my computer and I looked at my emails, and here's what one of the first emails that's come up was an invitation to go to Uluru by David Icke. So he had decided he was going to pull a bus together of about 20-25 people or something, and we were all going to go as a group to Uluru. And I thought, okay, well, obviously I just dreamt of being on a bus to Uluru. I think this is what I have to do. I have to follow this through, because I'd had that feeling of going somewhere anyway. So I put my name in the hat because this message went all around Australia, and so anyone could, put their name in the hat and be picked out. You had to pay for your tickets and stuff, but there was a lot of people that put their name in the hat, because if that was a pretty cool thing to do, is to go with David Icke to Uluru. So I put my name in the hat and pretty much forgot about it, but I already knew. I remember feeling, no, I'm definitely going to Uluru. This is how it's going to happen, and I felt right. It felt right. Then I got a panic because there was some big hoo-ha about this comet coming over, and something was going to happen, and I think there was a hoo-ha on the news or something. Everyone was worried about it or something. And I had a dream that I sat on a white horse, and that all of the news that was happening was just big advertisement, just fraud, just not real. Don't worry about it. And I was on this white horse. I could have an advantage. I had an advantage point to be able to see that this was just holographic fluff. It wasn't real. So I dropped that illusion. So it was obviously my guides telling me to stop panicking. It's got nothing to do with it. And then I got a phone call, and the phone call was from one of David Icke's people that were pulling everyone together, and she said, "You've been chosen out of a hat, pretty much, to go to Uluru with David Icke." So I'm like, I actually said to her, I knew I was going because I had a dream that I was going, so I told her straight up. And I was worried that my children weren't going to be taken care of. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with them when I was going to go, because I had 2 young girls. I didn't say anything to their dad. We'd split up years and years ago. And he just randomly sent me a text and asked for that specific weekend. And it happened to be the weekend just before I was moving. I think I just moved the day before. That's right, I just moved the day before. So I moved house, and the very next day I still had everything in boxes and that. The very next day my children were taken by their dad, and I was on a plane going to Uluru. I'm like, whoa, how did that even happen? So I get off, I get my bags, and I'm with this group, and there's chitter chatter. Everyone's just talking and getting to know each other and stuff. And David Icke was kind of in the distance a bit. I didn't really see him amongst everyone. I was just kind of getting the feel and the vibe of everything. I had no idea that the group had been told to go to the bus. So with them, sometimes my guides will just blank out things and pull me into other places, which is really interesting how that happens. But has happened quite a bit. And this trip, it happened quite a lot. So I didn't hear them or know that they were going to go to the bus, I just saw David Icke and his small team moving. So I like started packing, grabbed my bag and follow him. Went out the door, went, the long gravel road towards a car that was parked, and then I looked behind me and went, oh, where is everyone? And then David and the people who were running the program said, what are you doing? You're supposed to be over there with the bus group. And David's like, oh, well, let her come in the car. She's here now. It's meant to be. So I went in the car with David Icke. And so we started traveling, said a couple of things. We got there to the actual, it was a, what is it? Like a backpackers kind of just a one-nighter there before we would catch the bus and move on towards Uluru. So it was a little bit of a it was a place that had lots of bunk beds and stuff, lots of like a dormitory kind of a thing, and you just kind of threw everything underneath your bed, and that was your little space. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hopefully, I don't see any, because sometimes spirit would try to get my attention, and I had not a very good feeling in this place. It was real close to Alice Springs. Even in the flight over, I saw the big like white balls and stuff that they created at Pine Gap, and I know that was not a very good energy around there. We got to the backpackers' place, and I actually said to the people in the room, if I do start yelling at night, it's just because I see things. Sorry, I'll apologize before it happens, just in case, because if I felt not such a good feeling of some place, I would normally leave, but I had no other choice. This time I had to stay there. So. But when I got there early with David Icke, the other people hadn't arrived. I went up to the counter, and I don't usually do this. This was Spirit taking me as well and using me, I'm sure of it, because I don't usually do this. I went up to a massive, huge lizard that was on the counter, and I just put my hand out and it crawled on my arm, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's like I turned into Steve Irwin, So I like shoving this big lizard in David Icke's face, and he's going, I'm like, oh, I didn't even think, like, of course, he'd had messages about the reptilians and stuff, but he kind of put the lizards and everything in one group and went, they're all bad. And I think Spirit's trying to give him a heads up, don't be so strict and rigid with things, with what the messages are about. So I think they wanted me to just, say how beautiful this was, this being that was on Earth. Anyway, this lizard. He did sit down and look at my children's book, thought it was wonderful, which is cool. I have a children's book that's an illustrated book to help awaken children into their imagination, that was published just a year or so before. And then we went to go to sleep that night, and I woke up with souls oozing out of the wall, trapped in cube boxes or cube, I wouldn't even call it boxes, it's like a manipulated energy, kind of like if you put your hands through thick bubbles or something. It's like they were stuck in this, wasn't very nice. And I sat up in bed and said to them, because I just knew automatically, hang in there, you will be saved, you just have to hang in there a little bit longer, you will be saved. And I don't know where that voice come from or why I said that. At that time, it just was the right thing to say, and I just knew it. So I just said that. And there was a couple of other people that night that didn't have good nights either in that place, that were probably more sensitive like I am as well. Then we jumped in the bus, and the bus went to take off, and then we realized we forgot somebody, so we went back, and David even said, something about the energy of that place keeps trying to pull us back into it, and it was interesting. So I was sitting in the bus next to a man called Max Ingham, and he had been told that he was going to go to Uluru the day before. He was going to leave one day earlier because he's meeting up with a group of people, of ladies that was doing some sort of ceremony there, and he had a talking stick. Meanwhile, the bus driver was telling us that he was involved in, the Aboriginal tribes, and he was accepted into them. He didn't look Aboriginal, but he was accepted into the Aboriginal tribes, knew a lot about them, and was making sure that nobody was going to do something foolish on the mountain, and respect that. I got up because I'd had this dream about a group of people coming together around 2012, and that they should start thinking positively about the world, and it was important for us to do that. That we were running out of time, and we needed to start thinking positively about the world and shifting us into different frequencies. So I got up and just said to everyone, if you want to start thinking about what we could create on this world, then it would be a good thing. And the bus driver pulled me aside. He was concerned that I was going to do a ceremony of some sort at Uluru. We'd already walked around the female mountain, and then we were traveling to the masculine mountain, and I didn't go in because I wanted to respect the Aboriginal tribes. So they didn't like females going into the masculine mountains, so I stayed back. So he'd come and sat next to me, and he's wearing glasses. He's like looking at my eyes and asking me, are you going to do anything foolish? You're going to jump up on top of the mountain? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't even go into the masculine one. I just want to respect the Aboriginal laws. And I've worked with a Cherokee elder, and I get a lot of messages, and this is who I am. So I'm just following. I came here through Synchronicities, and I'm just following this synchronicity. So he's like, okay, I see, it looks in your eyes, and I see that you're telling the truth. So he was all fine with that, and he said, if the mountain wants to call you in, then it will call you in. And I can't do much more than that. So I didn't even know what was going to happen, if anything was going to happen anyway. But then after that, we ended up coming towards Uluru. We stayed the night in a camping ground, and that all went without a hitch, no dreams or anything. But then when we were in the bus about 15 minutes out from actually going to Uluru, the mountain, I just uncontrollably just started crying, just started weeping for no reason whatsoever. I literally could not help. The emotions that were coming up were just huge, and I just started crying. Felt like a bit of an idiot. Max Ingham had already left to deliver this talking stick to people who are having a ceremony. So they had a ceremony that night, and just after their ceremony, great big cloud formed over Uluru, and we saw lightning striking Uluru. It was amazing. So it was like all being cleansed or cleared or something the night before that we arrived. So we get there, and I'm crying, and then we got to, there was a place where all the females gathered in Uluru. As soon as I put my hand on the rock, by the way, it stopped crying. It's like, whew, yay, don't have to cry anymore. It was like that. It was weird. So we get to this female place, and I saw David put his hands on a rock, and I was thinking, this is the female place. We should be doing that. So I gathered a few girls together, and we put our hands on the rock and just felt into and did a bit of a huddle, and it felt good. And I thought, maybe that's it. We're here to think about, changing up the earth and Gaia and stuff, or we'll just see, then maybe that's it. That's all that's needed. And then we moved on through the day, and we were only there for one day, and we had to leave that afternoon to catch the plane back. We moved in the bus towards something else, and we had a drink, and there was a guy there that was on the bus that I was making sure I wasn't going to drink anything, like no wine or anything or alcohol, and he was a real healthy person. He had a lodge somewhere, did a lot of healthy retreats and stuff like that. And I had a little chat to him, not much, didn't really know him that well. Well, I was walking around Uluru by myself for a while, and I just said, look, my name's Alana Wananahi, given to me by a Cherokee elder. If you want me to do something while I'm here, then I'm here. If not, so be it. We're going to go, in a plane. No big deal. But I thought I'd at least introduce myself to the mountain and see what happened. So yeah, I had a letter with me that the Cherokee elder gave to me when she pricked my finger and took my blood and meditated over it, and then she said it took her a couple of times to find my soul lineage, and then she wrote up like a half a page on that, and usually like she could write up to 8 pages on your soul lineage, but she gave me this who I was, Alana Wananahi, and I had that with me because I don't know why, I just knew I had to have it with me. I'll read this out to you. So this is the letter that she gave me in this beautiful white buffalo heart envelope. So it says, Alana Wananahi, this is who I am, my soul's lineage, written by a Cherokee elder over in Ohio. I think she lives near Arizona now. She says, Alana Wananahi, when the land had settled and Ila was is earth, and Ila was populated with gifts from all corners of the universe, the creations began to counsel. Each had consideration for the other, and so peace held for eons and generations. Then human, Great Spirit's children decided to go beyond what was given and wanted to show the Creator what they could create. They explored, and soon many things became confused, and Ila began to birth and change. What was paradise was not peaceful anymore. So all the creations counseled. Many asked what to do with all the mix-up the Great Spirit's children were causing. After much time, they decided they needed to find a safe place and to have a map how to get there, but would not be able to be read by the children. So turtle is Alana Wa, and that's what my name is, Alana Wananahi. Turtle said, I will pack myself in a shell that I will live in forever, and on my back you will find the pattern and the map to find the safe place for all life here, and I will move about the earth mother, helping all relations find our place of peace and beauty. Go now before the children find you. I will stay with them, and they will not know of my purpose. All creatures will know and follow you there. And when Great Spirit awakens and sees what the children has done, he will change it. When they have learned and grown to know value of life, then and only then I will lead them to our safe place where beauty lives. All the relations said, Aho! And so to this day the turtle walks and walks, showing the way to peace and harmony. This is Alana wa Nanahi. So that's who I am in my soul. And Nanahi is fairy, and fairy, she came to me later and said, you're not just a fairy clan, you're actually a creator of the fairy world. So I had this piece of paper with me when I was in Uluru, and I saw I thought I saw the bus driver on the path in front of me as I was just walking back to the bus, and he's talking to a couple of other people. And I walked up to him, and he'd already been discussing about the portals around Uluru, sorry. And I'd already felt into that as well, that there was these subtle energy shifts around Uluru that you could tap into. And I'd had these experiences of Pleiadians coming and putting their forehead on my forehead and chanting this information through me. So I already had that in my head, and whether we could literally connect with the mountain. So I wanted to go and talk to him about that, because David had brought it up with him, and I didn't want to interrupt their conversation before. So I walked up to him and said, went to say something, didn't even get anything out of my mouth, and I was holding on to my name, and he just turned to me and went, I just saw a massive turtle in the mountain. And I'm like, turtle? That's my name. My name's Alana wa Nanahi, and Alana wa means turtle. And he just grabs my hand. He'd already said that we weren't allowed to go into the mountain. We had to stay around the outside. It was sacred inside. So I wouldn't have followed anyone else. So he grabbed my hand and he reefs me into the mountain and starts, ducking and diving underneath these rock, formations that had you could move in and out through underneath little bridges and stuff, and through crevices and things. So we got to this point where it was really just a big crevice in the middle, two cliffs about a couple of feet apart from each other, maybe 1.5 feet apart from each other. So he slid himself in, and then I thought, well, I'll slide myself in. So here's this guy and this girl in the mountain, with these big crevice rocks. And he turned to the side and he said, see the rock there? That's a turtle. How cool is that turtle? And I'm like, I actually looked at it and thought, yeah, it's kind of got a shape like a turtle. I don't think I was seeing what he was seeing though. But all of a sudden I'm thinking, wow, we're here. And I started getting message from spirit to do what the Pleiadians did. They put their forehead on my forehead and put my forehead on the rock. And so I said to him, I think we're supposed to chant. And I wasn't wanting to chant. First, I didn't even know what to chant, to tell you the truth. So he put his hands on the rock, and I put my hands on the rock, and we started chanting. I'm just going to, whatever. And then it was really weird what happened. Never felt it before with anything, with any other mountain or any other rock. But it was like this slow pulse, like a vroom, vroom, vroom. And my hands started to shake, and it's like a feeling into Gaia or Earth's heartbeat, or something like a heartbeat. And then this, all of these dreams that I had poured through, where they had taken me into new Earths and shown me what the new Earth is like and how it feels and all that. All those experiences that I feel have come from Pleiadians reminding Gaia what the new frequency is like, or that higher frequency is, with humanity's consciousness being involved in it, and all of that. It's just come rushing through me. I remembered all these dreams rushing through me, and just memories of dreams coming. It's like it was pouring through me into Uluru. And then I was discussing with her that many people are awakening now, and she replied, I will help you awaken many more. And then I remember thinking, holy crap, the bus driver's beside me. We're going to have to go because he's driving the bus and we've got to go to the plane to catch the plane back. So I know that this is only what I can remember logically. I think that there's a lot more that happened through this time. And so, yeah, and I don't exactly know what else took place, but this is all I can remember. But there was a feeling of an integration, some sort of exchange and preparation for what was to come. And so anyway, I turned around and thought I better, collect the bus driver. We better get going, So I looked over to the bus driver and he's doing this weird, like reaching in between the rocks, but reaching out and going, oh my God, none of it's real. None of it's real. He was like tripping, like tripping. And yet we weren't taking drugs. He was a healthy person. We were on a bus. There's no way we could have. There was no drugs around or anything. He's just tripping. And he looked at me and his pupils of his eyes were tripping. Like he was, yeah. He wasn't though, because he was a real health fanatic. I just know he wouldn't be that sort of person. So he was like tripping through the energy of the mountain and realizing how much more vast this program and who we were. It was really interesting. So I pulled him out and then sat him on the rock for a bit of a rest. And then we went back to the path. As soon as I put my foot on that path, I realized that the person that I had been talking to was not the bus driver. It was the guy that was from this resort, this healthy guy that was from the resort, not the bus driver. He wasn't connected with the Aboriginals. And I wouldn't have followed him into the mountain because I wanted to respect the Aboriginal law of the mountain. So the bus driver was actually back at the bus going, no, they've gone in the mountain. I know they have. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, well, that just happened. I can't do anything about it. Whatever's happened has happened. So jumped back on the bus and went back on the plane and went back home. And it was weird though, for the next few weeks after that, I kept waking up feeling like I had to go somewhere. I literally started waking up and getting dressed or getting ready or preparing or something else. I did that about 3 times after, I'd come back from Uluru. Yeah, it was really interesting. So that's pretty much my Uluru story. David did ask me to go to, where was it? The Incas. I think he went to the Incas next, to South America. I think he went there next, and Aztec or Incas or something. He asked me to go there with him as well, but I didn't have and I had the money to do it, but I didn't have a spiritual pull to do it, so I didn't go with him on that trip. I tend to follow my guidance. So that was that story. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I have literally hundreds and hundreds of these stories, these very different, bizarre stories in my life. And so every now and then I might pull one out of the sack and share it with you guys. So yeah, until the next chat, bye.